All right. Good morning, folks.
Morning.
Welcome to the new reality of CLI as we all learn to adapt to the COVID world and the realities in terms of trying to do business, but recognizing that the business of the people we all represent has to go on. So as we start this process, I would now ask Jennifer to quickly step in and touch on the logistics.
So hello, everybody. My name is Jennifer Freeman, and I'm the program manager with Winnipeg Metro Region. We're very excited to be holding this meeting today, and we're glad that you could all join us. We also ask that you keep your smartphones close by because we will have a few polling questions throughout the presentation. So I think that's everything for me. So back to Michael.
My name is Michael Miltenberger. For those of you that don't know me, I'm one of the co-facilitators. I'm sitting in my home community in Fort Smith in the middle of Treaty 8 territory on the banks of the Slave River. And I've been part of this process with Maryland from the start. Today we're talking about the art of the possible and the need to get down to work following the direction from the leaders. And one of the founding traditions of CLI was to have elders as part of the integral part of the process, to give us good advice, give us the benefit of their reflection and encouragements. And today we are keeping with that tradition. And we have with us elders Margaret Swan, Stan McKay, Jim Campbell, and Rodney Burns. To start today, I would like to ask Margaret Swan if she would honor us with an opening prayer.
Chimiwach, the Nagishaman at Wayang Manungum, Jobandiang, Chigaganundiang, Gawach Mamma at Uchi Wichi, one Kinaga Uchimin Sek, where we should chigot and Wekaning on Ska Wangama, Chimiwach. Just thanking Creator for this wonderful day and asking Creator for help and guidance on our path with our leadership, First Nations, and others, to just guide us along our path and ensure that things are positive and good and the doorways to our path are clear and open. Miigwech.
Thank you, Margaret. Elder Stan McKay.
Thoughts on my mind as we meet today is that that half of our population live off reserve. So we're in your municipalities, we're in your cities, and this work is wide-ranging as we've tried to move along, and I thank Margaret for her opening prayer. We've begun in a good way. AOC.
Thank you, Stan. I'd now ask Elder Jim Campbell for his comments.
Good morning, everyone. It's good to see everybody again. Glad this initiative is still going strong, and I'm so excited to still be back in this circle. I believe we have the confidence in each other that we need to take the next step, a step that we can take together and work on a project together. We have trusted and respected the process of this CLI journey, and because of that, we have come to respect and trust the circle of leaders we have at the table. And thank you again very much for including me.
Now I'd like to ask our elder statesman and our friend Rodney Burns to share with us. Rodney?
Morning. Moving forward from talk to action is music to my ears. We've taken the time to do a lot of getting to know each other, expanding our areas, bringing new people in, and I think it's great that this has all happened. But now is the time I really believe that we must take the action. Thank you very much.
I'd like to thank the elders for their good words. I'd now like to ask Laren Bill to talk to us briefly about his role and the talking stick.
I hold the talking stick on behalf of the CLI group, and just a reminder of the principles behind the talking stick is to respect everyone and everyone's viewpoints and thoughts, as well as be mindful of time. I understand we have a packed agenda today, and so I will be holding on to this talking stick on behalf of everybody, and thank you.
Thank you, Larry. I'll now turn it over to Marilyn.
Okay, thank you to the elders and to Laren for your good words to start the meeting off on a good footing, and to remind us about the big picture of what we're here to do, and to also remind us that while we're trying to do this work, there's some very real world pressures that make it very difficult for us to continue life as normal, even with important initiatives like this. And so I think our struggle is to find a way to continue to do that. My name is Marilyn Fair. I am with the Center for Indigenous Environmental Resources, which is one of the partnering organizations on CLI, along with Southern Chiefs Organization and the Winnipeg Metropolitan Region. And I am a co-facilitator of this process along with Michael, as he mentioned. We began this process in October 2017 when Colleen Sklar and Grand Chief Jerry Daniels were chatting about the need to work together. And they conceived of bringing together the chiefs and the mayors and the reefs, just some of them, for an informal discussion of breakfast. And at the same time, Michael and I and Bob Sanford were talking with Colleen about the need to save Lake Winnipeg and do something really transformational. One key realization was that everybody agreed the status quo was not good enough. After 153 years of being in silos, of not talking to each other, of not really knowing each other, we wanted to change that. And so we decided to bring chiefs and mayors and reefs who were willing to participate to go through a reconciliation process. That process took 1 year. It started on May 18th in 2018. And we had 4 meetings over the course of the next year. The first meeting was about getting to know each other. Then we moved on to the second meeting about building a common understanding, where we tried to fill the knowledge gaps we had about each other. We went on to the third meeting, which was about envisioning the future, the circular economy. In March 1st, 2019, we named the meeting Forging the Partnership. That meeting was where we made a commitment. The mayors and the chiefs and the reeves made a commitment to each other through signing a memorandum of understanding. We did that at Lower Fort Garry, at the original signing place of Treaty 1. The mayors and the chiefs and the reeves exchanged original restrikes of the Treaty 1 medal. And it was a real symbol of the need to work together as the original treaty envisioned. The real purpose of this is to create change in the world. That's what we're trying to create together. We're trying to create a series of projects that actually create action. And through your series of reconciliation process meetings, we started to talk to you about various ideas. Every meeting we would get a little bit further and you would give us the thumbs up to continue to explore and see if we could raise money for things. And we did that. So where are we for today is to continue to explore the art of the possible. What can we do? We're focusing, of course, on briefing you on 2 key initiatives, one on waste, one on water. So with that, I would like to turn it to Michael, who will manage the next piece of the agenda in terms of greetings. Thank you.
Thank you, Marilyn. Specifically, I want to acknowledge the support and help of Canada. And we're lucky to have with us today from Manitoba and from Winnipeg, Terry Duguid, the Member of Parliament for Winnipeg South Parliamentary Secretary, responsible for the Canada Water Agency and Western Diversification.
Well, thank you, Michael. It's really great to be with such an impressive group of leaders that has much power and influence. And let me tell you, we at the elected level are paying attention. Governments are paying attention, and we support you very much. In 2019, we named it, the Liberal government made a number of platform commitments on fresh water, and one of them, as Michael has mentioned, was creating a Canada Water Agency. to work collaboratively with provinces, territories, Indigenous governments, municipalities, and others to better protect and manage our precious freshwater resources. And I know a number of you who weighed in on this and importantly put some pressure on the government. We're very happy to see the Canada Water Agency and Freshwater front and center on the speech from the throne just a few weeks ago. And we're particularly interested in, one of the innovative initiatives that you've launched, the Water Quality Trading Initiative, which I think, and many think, could be a game changer for Lake Winnipeg and a model that other regions of the country could adopt. We know that our water ecosystems, Lake Winnipeg and other lakes in Manitoba, are severely stressed with nutrient pollution and toxic algae blooms, which are absolutely terrible for our fishers, for tourism, for our cottagers, for drinking water, for life, and particularly for our Indigenous communities in the watershed.
Thank you very much, Terry. It's really great to have you come in and speak on behalf of the federal government, and it's great to hear your words of encouragement. We continue to look forward to your support, and we will definitely be keeping you apprised, as you know, because we would like to work very closely with Minister McKenna on the Water Quality Trading Project. And so, Bob, are you willing to just give a few reflections? Thank you.
I sure would. First of all, I've just got to thank Terry Duguid. His contribution to the creation of the Canadian Water Agency is nothing less than heroic. His ability to steer this very complicated idea through all of Ottawa and to get it on the throne speech is simply amazing. And on behalf of the water community, Terry, we cannot thank you enough. The second thing that I think is really important relating to this initiative on the throne speech was a new enhanced commitment to the United Nations Declaration of the Rights of Indigenous People. And again, I am a great champion of this initiative, and I just wish to remind you that the world still is watching despite COVID, and the rest of the country is definitely watching also. So our success is critical to the future. Thank you very much, Marilyn. Thank
you, Bob. What we would like to do for the next few moments is give each of you, or as many of you as we can fit in the time we have, a opportunity to share with us one or two words that to you really reflect the essence of the Collaborative Leadership Initiative, or the essence of what you hope for it. What we want to do is generate sort of a collaborative word cloud that represents all of the key words that you feel characterize the CLI. Think about this, but I'll just pick somebody to start. And how about if we start with Debbie Feeblecorn?
Good morning, everyone. It is great to be here. I am so glad that this meeting could be arranged to continue on our journey through CLI. I think the one thing that comes to my mind is education for each and every one of us. We all have the same issues, whether it's an Indigenous community or municipality. And being one of those municipalities around the South Basin, we really have to look after Lake Winnipeg. It is very important that we move forward on our water projects. Thank you, Marilyn.
Thank you very much. Chief Smith?
So my word or my thought is in the Ojibwe language. We have a word or a phrase that says, Mino Pamatizewin, which means good life. And I think that, what we're doing, and from being a part of this initiative, I've seen a lot of people come together, working together, and bringing our hopes and our dreams and our visions to build that good life for our children and for those that are coming behind us. Miigwech.
Thank you, Chief Smith. Frances Smee, please.
Hi, everyone. I'm taking my cue from our The Art of the Possible, our session today, and my words are possibly life-changing. Thank you.
Excellent, thank you. I can turn to Grand Chief Jerry Daniels now.
I guess for me, you know, I would obviously echo a lot of what Chief Smith had said in the Minopumatsuwin, the good life. Anishinaabe people, we believe, you know, we're big-hearted people. We're sent here to create a better world. That takes a lot of partnership. Relationship building was always, I think, the biggest goal here initially. And we focused on water when we started, and the reason for that, CP is what we call it. The reason for that is because it unites all of us. Water flows in our bodies, and it unites the world. It gives life. Miigwech.
Thank you, Grand Chief Daniels. Scott Gillingham, please. City Councillor Scott Gillingham.
The word that comes to mind is action. We all live in a world where we spend a lot of time listening to words, uttering words, but at the end of the day, what really makes the difference in the long term is action. And so I'm looking forward to taking action on these initiatives, and looking forward to the rest of the morning. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Chief Derek Henderson, please.
Good morning. Thank you to the elders. Thank you to all the leaders that are around the table. I think for me, some of the things that we need to really understand is the respect and understanding of our peoples. You know, we always hear the word reconciliation. We're talking today, but what about tomorrow, right? So I think it's important that we work together for a better future for everybody. We talk about Minopumatsuwin, which is a good life, and that's what it's all about. It's all encompassing, right? So people have to understand the Indigenous viewpoint. You know, it's about respect, I think, is key for me. Thank you.
Reeve Brad Erb, please.
There's been many people that have spoke. I guess the words that come to my mind are Councillor Gillingham had said about action, and Chief Henderson said respectful action. So if just to be concise, those are things that resonate with me today. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Shelley Hart, would you be willing to share your thoughts?
I would like to say that a lot of people talk about collaboration and use the word and throw it around, and you know, it's an easy word to use, but what Jerry Daniels and Colleen put together, I think, is showing real collaboration in action. And I think Scott Gillingham used that same word, in action. More than talking about it, we're actually doing something with it and showing how we can work together as partners. I will say that we have one First Nation in East St. Paul, and the relationship that we've been able to build because of this process is really allowing us to do some good work, and has built the relationship between East St. Paul and Broken Head. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Clive Hines, please.
Good morning, all. I'm really ecstatic to be here once again with you all. As to me, we have now become a family. From the days of our humble beginnings through this remarkable journey, it is uplifting, and the word I'm using is uplifting, to say the least, as we have now been recognized by not only the federal government, but also the provincial governments. And my thanks and prayers goes out to the elders who have actually educated us. Because when I first got on here, I'll tell you, I was ignorant of what had taken place prior. And I'm so happy that I had a chance and given this opportunity to be part of the process. So good luck to all. And thank you again for giving me this opportunity to be part of you as a family.
Thank you, Mayor. Could we please call on Mayor Larry Johansson?
Good morning, everybody. I think some of the words I would use, we're all looking for employment and education opportunities for all our youth. We're looking at safety and security for our elders and seniors. And above all, we're looking at economic development and collaboration going forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. If we could please call on Mayor Joyce Soul.
Good morning, everyone. I guess my words would be very valuable and important relationship. Thank you.
Mayor Cheryl Christian, please.
Good morning. Some of the words that come to mind every time that we're brought together as a group is inspiring. And I echo the comments on respect. For me, this is really so important. Respect for each other, respect for our differences and our diversity. We all come at things and approach it a different way. Again, I'm really grateful and honored to be participating in this and thank everyone. You are truly inspiring.
Mayor Justin Bohemier, please.
Well, thank you very much. It's always a pleasure to be with this group. I think the foundation that we're laying for this collaboration will be the legacy of this group. So I'm going to keep it short and sweet. That's what we think. So thank you.
Thank you. Could we please ask for comments from Reeve West Taplin, please?
Good morning, everyone. My word is community, strength in numbers. And going forward, we can only get stronger and better if we work together. Thank you very much.
Good morning, and it's great to be a part of this group, and I feel honored to be part of it. I have a couple words that I would like to add. One is balance, and the other is trust. And I just want to say, keep up the good work, and thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. What I'd like to do is turn it over to Richard Farthing-Nickel, who is a research associate at CEER. Richard?
Hi, folks. Good morning. I've been working at CEER since earlier this year. I'm doing a lot of work related to the CLI and specifically the water quality trading project. So what is the challenge that we're trying to solve? We know it's that water quality in Lake Winnipeg has been deteriorating for a long time, and that the lake is very unhealthy. We have toxic algae in the lake, and we know that the reason that's happening is because we have too much phosphorus going into the lake across a big area. So the approach that the CLI leaders chose to address this problem of too much phosphorus over a big area is nature. So taking phosphorus out of the water by doing things like restoring wetlands, by planting vegetation. And what water quality trading is a way, an innovative way to fund those natural infrastructure projects. First, we do things like restore wetlands, and then we measure how much phosphorus those projects are actually taking out of the water. And when we do that, we can use those measurements to create water quality credits. So when you have those credits, you then take them to market, and then you need to find buyers who are interested in buying water quality credits. So this is what I'd like to ask you about today, just to give us a bit of feedback and a bit of guidance on how to proceed with these projects.
So the question is, when you think of your territory, so your lands and your waters, what are the three most important places that need protecting? Clearly there's a diverse range of important areas, but we see wetlands are really high, lakes are really high, and groundwater and aquifers. And now we're going to move to the second question. Can you think of any lands or waters in your territory that you think might be suitable for a natural infrastructure project?
The other thing you could be considering is if you know in your territories that there's a hot spot, for example, of phosphorus, phosphorus production, phosphorus is coming into the waters, and you happen to know that from previous studies or something like that, if you have a region that might be especially benefit from this.
So we'll move into the third question now, third and final question about water. But we're looking for information on who we can contact from your community. So think about a staff member who we can contact to find out more information about possible pilot projects.
Okay, so I think what we'll do now is you can continue to do that while we turn to the next agenda item, which is we'd like to bring up Jennifer David, and she will lead the update on the waste management project. Jennifer?
Gwe Anin, Bonjour, Tensei. Hello, I'm Jennifer David. I am the Director of Partner Relations at the Winnipeg Metro Region, and I'm excited to give this update on behalf of the Waste Quadrant Working Group project team. So the group really focused on three initial priority areas. The first one was to eliminate the burning of woody waste by finding alternative solutions. The second was to seek new and innovative solutions to managing plastic waste across the project area. And the third was really to develop a public engagement strategy for community involvement and implementation. After all of the quadrant working groups met, they determined that the best approach to tackle woody waste across the project area was to chip the wood. To assist with the facilitation of the next quadrant meetings and the creation and delivery of the strategy, the Metro region has engaged Mike Fernandez from Strategy Makers, who will share just briefly how he plans to support the facilitation going forward and some next steps for the quadrant working group. So welcome, Mike.
Thanks, Jennifer, and hello, everyone. As Jennifer mentioned, I've been involved in recycling and waste management in Manitoba and across Canada, really, for over 25 years now. And what I'd like to do today is to ask a few questions that will help us get started on how we can bring practical information and support you in the decision making going forward. So we'd like to know from you, what are the biggest challenges you're currently facing with respect to organic waste management and composting? There's 5 different options for you to answer here. I'm going to let you answer those questions for a few minutes to see where we're at with things. So our next question has to do with plastics, and plastics is something that it's a growing problem. I will also say sometimes we don't see the link between recycling and water, and I know you were talking a lot about water, but anything we can do to keep toxins and hazards out of our landfills also helps keep it out of our waterways. So you might be dealing with all of these, and that's fair, but if you can give us an idea of what are your biggest issues, that would be very helpful as well.
Thank you, Mike. Very interesting survey. Really good information. I'd like to turn it over to Colleen to introduce our guest, Jamie Olivieri, who will talk to us a little bit about the art of the possible with a story. Colleen?
Well, thank you very much, Marilyn, and it's great to see everybody join us. The story we tell ourselves is often really important. How we relate to the world and what we produce in the world can really be affected by the stories we tell. So I'm absolutely thrilled today to introduce you all to Jamie Olivieri. He's a master storyteller, and I'm just thrilled for you to hear Jamie's story and think with another side of our brain for a few minutes and see what we can come up with. Over to you, Jamie.
So Colleen, in her infinite wisdom, gave me 3 things to think about for today. They were leave no one behind, to do no harm, and the third is just when you think that things won't get any worse, they usually do. So long ago in the Middle East, there was a sultan, but this sultan was different. He genuinely considered himself to be guardian of his people, to care for them. And I would like to believe that all of you here today have that same feeling as part of your responsibilities as chief or as civic leader. And so because he had this sense of responsibility, his gates were always open. Anyone could come to him any day, any time with their problems, and he would do his best to help them. But then, after they left, he had to walk around with everybody's problems inside his head, which I'm sure you all know and have experienced. And sometimes when this load of problems became too heavy, he would go in the evening and take off his royal robes and put on the travel-stained cloak of a wandering pilgrim and wander around his city. And so one night he was walking in his disguise through the poor quarters, what we would call the slums of his city. And he was walking down a very narrow street, almost like an alley. And at the end of it, there was a bright light from a little shop, window open, and he could hear someone singing inside, sounding so happy. And when he came up close and he peered into the window, he saw it was a shoemaker sitting and working. And he just stood there staring at this person in the middle of the darkness, in the middle of the slums, who seemed so happy. And then he heard a voice, and the voice said, "Yes, inside that shop lives a very happy man." And the Sultan looked down, and what he had mistaken for a pile of rags was a beggar who lived outside the shoemaker's door. So he knocked on the door and he called out, Is a traveler welcome here? And the shoemaker said, oh, of course, a traveler's always welcome. Come on in. And so the Sultan in his disguise went in, and the shoemaker welcomed him, and he sat him down at a table. He said, here, I just made a little soup. And they were sitting and talking, and the Sultan looked around, and he saw that this shoemaker was truly a craftsman. He was doing such fine work. And the Sultan said, my friend, you could live in a rich part of the city. You could be rich yourself. But then I wouldn't be near the people who need these shoes the most. I am here because the work I do is needed. And people pay me with whatever they can. Sometimes they give me food. Sometimes they help me. Sometimes they can't even give me anything, but I can give them. Because you see, my friend, I believe that every day is a gift. Life itself is a gift. And every day is a chance to do a little good in the world. And the reason I chose this story is because today is an opportunity for all of you to creatively think, just like that shoemaker, to be the kind of leader that the Sultan wanted to be. And the best part of this, it isn't just one person trying to do this. It's all of you together.
Thank you very much, Jamie. But I have to be honest, I stole those 3 things from Bob Sanford. He told me that at the UN Institute, those are the 3 things that they tell themselves is leave no one behind, do no harm, and just when you think things couldn't get worse, they often do. So thank you both. It was amazing.
I would like to introduce and welcome Minister Squires if she'd like to make a few comments to the group.
So thank you very much for inviting me to say a few words at this virtual gathering hosted by the Collaborative Leadership Initiative. Your theme today, protecting water through natural infrastructure, is a very important one. Our government has also worked very collaboratively with our federal and municipal partners at tackling the cleanup of Lake Winnipeg. I believe that that is our most urgent environmental challenge in the province of Manitoba. Our government recently committed last week in last week's throne speech $286 million for phase 1, for our provincial portion of phase 1 and phase 2. I'm hearing very positive things from the federal government as well as from the city of Winnipeg. If we can get that project underway, I think that will go a long way to reducing that phosphorus load and the nitrogen in our watershed to ensure clean drinking water for future generations. So looking forward to ongoing dialogue with you and all the partners involved.
Thank you very much, Minister Squires. Your support, your government support, is absolutely critical for the next phase of CLI's project work. And in particular, the water quality trading and natural infrastructure projects. So we look forward to continuing to work together and to make real meaningful progress on this.
Chief Smith, if you would pick up the challenge and offer us some of your reflections that will inspire us all. Thank you.
I was raised in a fishing family, and you know, our family, we were, you know, dependent on that lake for our livelihood. You know, how do we protect that great resource that we all have a great responsibility to? And, you know, Minister Squires talked about, you know, the work that's being done with the federal governments and the municipalities. And, you know, this whole initiative, you know, has inclusion of First Nations people and our voices on these important issues, because these resources are in our backyards and they're very much a part of our cultural identities. Our lake is forever. Our, you know, jobs and things that are being created around projects and resources like that are short term. So I think that we have to start to focus on the long-term impacts of those types of ventures and projects, and, you know, try to be a part of the solution. Miigwech.
Thank you for your comments. And now I ask Mayor Hines if he would share with us his thoughts.
I find that if we can continue to work together on those things that are a part of all of us and make it possible for us to move together, to unite, something that unites us all, the changes will come. We have seen that just in such a few years, we have made it possible for this moment. So thank you again for that opportunity to unite and to work. And I hope to continue to work together. God bless you all.
Marilyn.
Okay, so I would like to now move to be the closing part of the meeting. We will be hoping to have these meetings frequently, once a month if possible. We have a couple of exciting ideas we'd like to start talking with you about at the next meeting, dealing with a circular economy opportunity and food security partnerships in the region. And so that's just a heads up, but what I'd like to do right now is turn it over to Elder McKay.
Thank you very much, Marilyn. I think as I've been listening to the process and learning, I wanted to add a word to the list that we were compiling, and that would be interdependence. I think collaboration leads us to a place of interdependence, and we talk about development of human possibility, and we also talk about the natural environment, the creation. And I think the word interdependence will bind those two concepts together. We're interdependent as family with each other. Kakinaw and Wakuamaganak says, "You are all my relatives, but I'm also a relative of the creation, of the waters, of all the creatures, of all creation." And I think as I spend this time with all of you, I'm reminded of that holistic way of approaching life, not only focusing on the human journey, but on the journey of all of creation. Thank you.
Thank you. Could we turn to Elder Campbell, please?
Stan mentioned just now about individuality, and I think it's very important that we still recognize that we are all different, but we all have so many things in common, and I think that's what makes us so strong here. We've always found ways to make things come together, and I'm really looking forward to our next step. So thank you again for letting me be with you, Miigwech.
Thank you.
Miigwech, Marilyn.
Thank you.
I guess like I always saying, I'm excited that we are at this table together to proceed on a path with tangible results for all people in general. I am, however, sometimes still concerned that we do not get left behind when projects move forward because of the fact that that's unfortunately been the history for our people. Miigwech, everyone. I look forward to meeting with you again soon.
Thank you, Margaret. And could we please ask Elder Rodney to please say a few closing words?
Thank you. There's one phrase that I would like to kind of add to the list of words, and I didn't get them in at the time, but I think we need faith, hope, and charity, and that will go a long way in making things better for all of us. It's an old phrase, but it's a phrase we should be using more often. Faith, hope, and charity will take us a long way. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rodney. We have asked Scott Gillingham to provide closing reflections for the meeting. So, Scott?
Thank you very much, Marilyn. And thank you to all of the elders, to those that have organized today, and to all of my fellow participants. I couldn't help but ask myself, what is the story that we find ourselves in right now? And for each one, ours is a story of service, hope, struggle, faith, effort, good intentions, optimism, reality, doubt, setback, and resets, adaptation, and perseverance. But may our story always be marked by the faithful pursuit of doing good for those who are we're called to serve, doing good for those yet to come, and doing good on behalf of our Creator. Miigwech.
Thank you very much, Scott. Those are wonderful words to end the meeting on and to remind us of the higher calling that we're pursuing and trying to walk this path. And so with that, I would like to call a close to the meeting and to thank all of you for your participation, and look forward to hopefully seeing you either through the waste quadrants work or through individual conversations about the water work or at our next CLI meeting, hopefully all three. So have a lovely day, everybody, and stay safe.